33 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. Talk Media for the sane among us. Thom Hartmann here with you. And Ian Millhiser is with us, Senior Fellow with the Center for American Progress's Action Fund, editor of Think Progress Justice. ThinkProgress.org is the website. Ian, welcome to the program.
It's good to be here. Thanks so much.
Or welcome back, I should say. You wrote a really interesting piece for ThinkProgress.org, the Center for American Progress's blog. The odds that each justice will vote to destroy Obamacare. Shall we just go through this really quickly?
Sure.
Okay, let's start with Sam Alito. The odds that Mr. Alito will say, sure, yeah, let's uphold Obamacare. Well, actually, let's start out by just, if you can summarize in a few sentences what the essence of this case, King v. Burwell, is that's going to be argued before the Supreme Court day after tomorrow.
Sure. No, this is one of the scariest cases that the Supreme Court has heard in many years, and I just wrote a book about them, so I've read a lot of them. The issue in this case is that under the Affordable Care Act, everyone is supposed to receive a tax credit to help them pay for health insurance if they qualify on the basis of income and if they buy insurance through one of the law's health exchanges. This case claims that if you live in the wrong state, if you live in a state where the federal government operates the exchange instead of the state government operating the exchange, then you're out of luck. Then you don't get this tax credit. And what happened if those tax credits go away in those states? First of all, up to 13 million people could lose their health care like that because they won't be able to afford it. Up to 10,000 people a year, according to one estimate, will die if they don't have health insurance that they would otherwise have under the Affordable Care Act. And the healthcare industry itself will be cast into turmoil, which will mean that even people like you and I who might have insurance through some other means could get hit because the whole industry is in chaos and doctors don't know if they're going to get paid. Insurance companies don't know if they can make their budget.
Right. All bets are off. So, it all hangs on these four words that, the exchange is created by the state. Doesn't the word state include the United States of America in terms of legal terminology? If you say state, isn't that a synonym for nation?
Right. So, I'll disagree with you that it hinges on those four words because, that's what the plaintiffs argue. The plaintiffs point to these few words in the law where it refers to an exchange established by a state. They say a state is not the federal government. It's only one of the 50 states. So, they caught us. No one gets tax credit. Right. But the law is a lot more than four words long. There's a provision of the law that defines the word exchange so that any exchange, whether it's state or federal, counts as an exchange established by the state. There are various provisions of the law that become completely ridiculous if you don't read them to say that state exchanges and federal exchanges are the same thing, including one provision, which if you read it the way that the plaintiffs want to read it, would mean that Congress created exchanges that no one is allowed to buy health care in and no one is allowed to sell health care in. Right. So, their reading is just wrong, and the only way you can get to it is if you take those few words completely out of context and you don't read the entire law.
Right. And so what are the odds that Sam Alito will do exactly what you just described?
I quip in my piece that, he's more likely to get struck by lightning while committing voter fraud than to vote to uphold Obamacare. Justice Alito is the most partisan member of the court. He's very, very conservative.
So you're saying basically he's a political hack. He's not a judge. He's a judge. But
he is a reliable vote in a case like this for the outcome that the Republican Party wants.
Okay. Now, what about Clarence Thomas? His wife, Ginny, works at the Heritage Foundation, made over $800,000 from them, which he didn't bother to tell us about for a long, long time. And they came up with the original version of Obamacare. Shouldn't he be in favor of it?
Well, here's the thing, and this applies to both Scalia and Thomas. So both of them have said in the past that when you read a law, you have to look at the whole law. You have to look at the statute as a whole, and you can't just read little passages in isolation.
Right. In fact, they just said that this week, didn't they? Or last week, rather?
Yeah, last week there was an opinion where 8 justices joined one decision or the other, saying that yes, you have to read the whole law. Scalia and Thomas have said that over and over again. So if they follow their own decisions, we've got them. But the chances that they're going to follow their own decisions look, I mean, Scalia wrote an opinion in before the last Obamacare case that made it clear that the law was constitutional, but he didn't feel the need to follow it when, the Affordable Care Act was on the chopping block. So, I'm not optimistic about either one of them either.
Right. Okay, so probably less than 50-50 on Scalia and Thomas. Judge Kennedy.
I'd say less than 10% on them.
Okay. Justice, now, so that's 3 votes. We have to get to 5 in order to strike down Obamacare. Justice Kennedy, he's occasionally a swing vote.
Yeah, I mean, Justice Kennedy, it starts to get a little bit interesting. He hates this law. He was the one who, in the last case, was actively lobbying Roberts to try to get the whole law struck down. So, that's a big, the fact that he had such a stake in this case probably dictates what his vote is going to be. That said, there are 2 things that could get him. One is that there's a really strong states' rights argument in this case, that essentially you can't surprise the state by saying, oh, by the way, that decision you made a while back between whether to have a state or federal exchange that you thought meant nothing, actually it means that your citizens lose billions of dollars worth of tax credits. Bye-bye now. So Justice Kennedy is normally a big advocate of states' rights, and it might be that he's offended by this attempt to surprise the states with the consequence that they couldn't have anticipated. Right. The other thing is that because similar language is used to the language the plaintiffs rely on, the exchange established by the state language, is used in a provision governing children's health care, it's possible that up to 5 million children could lose health insurance if this case goes badly. And Kennedy, the one place where he has shown a fair amount of compassion is for children. So it's possible that he'll pause there. I wouldn't put money on him. I think the chance that we get him is 15, maybe 20%.
Whoa.
But but he is more in play than than many of the other concerns.
Yeah, so he has a little empathy. So unlike Scalia and Thomas, he's probably not a sociopath. Interesting. So which leads us, so we're up to now 4 votes to strike down Obamacare. John Roberts would make the 5th. He was, this Obamacare came before the court a couple years ago, and he did a kind of Solomonic, let's cut the baby down the middle by saying states can opt out of the Medicaid expansion if they want.
Right.
And he got a lot of flack for that on the right. On the other hand, he got a lot of praise for it from kind of I guess you would call it the Main Street Republicans, the pragmatists.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. Roberts is the one that everyone's looking at in this case. I say we have about a 50-50 chance of getting him. Roberts has shown that he is very cautious, at least said in the past, that he's very cautious about the court appearing too political.
Right.
And here you have a case, it's the most contentious law in a generation. The Republican Party is gung-ho for the law. The Republican Party is gung-ho against the law. The Democratic Party is gung-ho for it. This lawsuit, I can't actually use the word on the air that I would use to describe this lawsuit, but the legal theory that the plaintiffs have presented is just not a strong theory. I mean, it's a crackpot legal theory. Right. And multiple commentators, prominent commentators, and not just liberal commentators, a lot of reporters have come forward and said, look, this just isn't what the law says. That's not what it's supposed to do. Of course there should be exchanges in all 50 states. And so given this toxic mix of a legal theory that has no real substance and all the politics behind it, what a lot of people are hoping is that will be enough to get Roberts to say, oh, maybe I should do the right thing here. Maybe I should actually follow the law, because if I do what my party wants me to do, I'm going to look like a hack and my court's going to lose its credibility. And that's what we're counting on. We're counting on Roberts caring enough about the legitimacy of his institution that he doesn't want to blow it up by handing down such a hackish decision.
What does it say about the state of our democracy, Ian Millhiser, that we're even having this conversation about the virtual certainty that 4 out of 9 justices on the United States Supreme Court are going to make a ruling for which there's no possible legal explanation or rationalization? It's just purely partisan.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it says something about the Supreme Court as an institution. I mentioned that I have a book. It's called Injustices, and it's about the history of the Supreme Court. And, the history of the Supreme Court is, they struck down child labor laws, they upheld segregation, They struck down the minimum wage, and they upheld eugenics. There was actually a case where the Supreme Court said that a woman could be cut open against her will, and a surgeon could take out her fallopian tubes.
Right.
So, the Supreme Court throughout almost all of its history has been terrible.
It's been one of our most conservative institutions. Wait, is your book out, by the way, Ian?
Well, I'm sorry?
Is your book out?
It is out at the end of this month. It's out March 24th. It's available for pre-order on Amazon. Once again, it's called Injustices. Injustices
by Ian Millhiser. Be sure to send us a press release or something. I'd like to get you on both radio and TV to plug the book and let people know about it. It sounds fascinating.
No, absolutely. I'll very much look forward to that.
Yeah. So here in the last 20, 30 seconds, do you think that the arguments on Wednesday are going to inform us of how they're going to rule?
It's a good question. What happened the last time around is Roberts, remember, initially voted to strike down most of the Affordable Care Act, and then he flipped and he decided to uphold most of it instead. So, we could be in for a really bumpy ride on Wednesday, and then it might be that Roberts realizes that he doesn't want to destroy the legitimacy of this court, so he flips.
Right.
Or it
could be the other way around.
We'll know for sure.
Yeah, amazing. Ian Millhiser. Thank you, Ian.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
Hang on just a second here.
Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archive.
Guy always steps on me and my guests. Ian Millhiser, Senior Fellow at the Center for American Progress. Your new book, Ian, the title?
Injustices.
Injustices. Check it out. Thank you, Ian.